Okay. Let's get with the business. Let's get with the business. Down to these intros. It's your man Mel live, October 1st, 2020. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm looking at the TV. Or anyway, you know how it is. I said I was gonna go live on the 1st and the 15th. I'm trying to do that and stay consistent and stick to that. Try to be on a schedule and things like that, and try to honor the folks that actually be checking for me. And shout out to the people that check for me. Shout out to the people that check for me live. Shout out to the people that check for me in the replay gang. Shout out to the replay gang. More you've been watching, these live streams, in the replay. I don't care when you watch it, as long as you watch. You can argue with me, you can like, you can subscribe, unsubscribe. I still love you all the same. Yours truly. That's how it goes. What's going on? What's going on? I see you, mighty y'all. What up, bro? What up, bro? I see you, man. That's what's up. Thank you for coming through. I definitely appreciate you. But yeah, I had a lot of things going on today, so I didn't really go live earlier in the day, but I kept with it. I kept with it. Spice Slice TV. Appreciate you for coming through. Lovely people coming through. I just want to get with it. Let's get with the first topic of what I wanted to talk about. First topic, right off the top. Let's get into it. Busy lady, appreciate you. Let's talk about these presidential debates. Let's talk about the first presidential debate that happened recently on Fox News. That was live on television and whatnot. Versus your man's Agent R and Donald Trump himself, and Mr. President 45 with a bullet, versus Joe Biden, the vice president and whatnot. Hey, what's up, busy lady? Appreciate you. Yes, I agree. The debate was horrible. The debate was horrible. Star Wars fame actor Mark Hamill said that it was so bad that it was worse than the Star Wars Christmas special. For anybody that knows about the Star Wars Christmas special, for those folks that are too young to know, it's a really bad deal when you're being compared to that. Yes, busy lady, you didn't miss much. I watched the whole debate. I think it was like over an hour or something like that, over an hour, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it was. It wasn't worth the time. My thing is just to do a quick recap of the debate. For those folks that didn't watch it, that know, it was a lot of interruptions from Trump. Biden, threw some insults back. The moderator lost control. There was some actually funny things that Trump said in there, but then there was some troubling things that Trump said, especially when he had a chance to denounce white supremacists, and he didn't. And he told them to stay, stand by and stay at the ready, whatever that means. But there was a lot of lies pushed back and forth. There was a lot of things that weren't addressed inside of the debate by both candidates. You didn't learn anything new if you watched the debate. If you're going to vote for Biden, you're going to vote for Biden. If you're going to vote for Trump, you're going to vote for Trump. This didn't change any minds. If anything, this was a lot of red meat for the basis, for the Democrats, for the Republicans. If anything, I want to talk about and focus on when it comes to the debate and recap it. It's kind of telling about our lack of civility when it comes to our politics, when it comes to what's going on. The big issue should be about what's happening with COVID, what's happening with the economy. Yeah. Nah, I did laugh a few times in between with that when Trump was going in, when he's talking about the crowd sizes of his rallies and whatnot. Trump was a troll. Trump is a troll in chief. He is the troll in chief. He's the master of trollonomics. I can't take that away from Trump. But one of the things that really upset me about the debate is that as people are tuning in and they're looking for answers and they're looking for comfort, there are funny parts. There are funny parts in it. But unfortunately, a lot of that gets overshadowed because a lot of people were annoyed by the interruption from Trump. They said Trump interrupted Biden and interrupted the moderator like 76 different times. In the beginning, it was funny, but then towards the end, you kind of got annoyed because no real questions were answered. What is the response to COVID? How are we going to deal with the economy? All these different things. What about racial, injustice? How are things going to be formulated and structured about that? It's like the rapper Ice Cube said, we really didn't get too many answers from, the Democratic Party, as far as they had the conventions and they had talking points and they had these things that they were espousing and putting out there. But the problem with a lot of this stuff when it came to the debate is that you sat there, you watched it, you got annoyed, you turned the channel or you watched or you cheered or you said, like some of the Trump supporters, campaign supporters said, Trump had the greatest debate performance of all time. Whatever they were smoking, whatever they were drinking, I wanted some of that because I didn't see that. But lo and behold, people are being paid by the Trump campaign to say whatever they need to say. And the sad part about it all was, even from Biden, even from the Democratic side, is that you really didn't come away from the debate learning anything new. It's not something you couldn't have found out if you just, watched the news cycle and took a blip and looked at it and said, hey, that's what it was. And, this is how they feel. And these are the talking points. And these are the arguments about taxes and stuff like that. Michael Skeen, appreciate you for coming through. So, if anything, I would encourage people, what's going on? Band run a squad. When it comes to, politics, when it comes to the policies, when it comes to what's going on, I encourage people to research for themselves to find out what the issues are. I do encourage people to vote, and look at what the platform policies are, how the candidates do shake out, and how certain laws and certain policies do shape up as far as what's going to affect us, because a lot of these issues and things that people are not paying attention to will affect us. Stuff with the economy, stuff with COVID, stuff with racial injustice. These are things that I encourage people to be informed about. And I think, if anything, you didn't learn anything new from this debate, and hopefully the next debate is something worthwhile. Poor Chris Wallace, they overtook him to the point where, Trump was going back and forth with the moderator. There's so much going on. And like I said, I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. I mean, people know what they know. You've heard what you heard about it. My thing is just that, my takeaway from the debate is that we're on our own. Yeah, it was a horrible debate. You're gonna have to research and look at the issues and galvanize and do stuff independently to find out what's going on and what's happening and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the candidates didn't do enough to actually shore up and ensure people that the country is moving in the right direction. Because I'll say it like this: regardless if it's Biden, regardless if it's Trump, we still got a lot of issues. We're still in trouble. And I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom. It was just one of those things where we got to do better. We got to have more civility as far as that goes. And I tell people to research and be informed independently and find out about the issues and find out what it is that you can do, and write your local congressman and reach out to your local city council people and your mayors and governors of your state, and really get involved with the issues, or just find out, be aware of what's happening. Don't just pay attention during the presidential season, the presidential cycle. And I think some of the times that's the problem, is that people don't pay attention to what's going on outside of what's happening, in the presidential cycle. What's going on, Mr. Franklin? I see you. Peace. Appreciate that. But I'm going to leave it at that when it comes to the presidential politics. But I wanted to talk about something that's more important, but not really spoke about enough and not really looked at. We talk about climate change. Market Watch reports dramatic changes in the Arctic suggest climate change could return the Earth to conditions that make the world too hot. Like, the world is getting hotter right now. There are diseases and stuff like that creeping up. People are saying that coronavirus is a result of the Earth being hotter and people being more connected to animals and wildlife, and areas being gentrified and forest lands being taken down. If you see what's going on out in Brazil, a lot of forest land is going down. A lot of natural habitats are being destroyed. A lot of ecosystems, even on the west coast, certain sea stars or the starfish are being destroyed, and our ecological system is being destroyed and stuff like that. Our food is synthetic, and we're not having natural resources, and that's being depleted. And we have until like 2050 to really get these issues together. So I encourage people, not to waste, not to take for granted our environment, not to pollute our environment. Be mindful of waste and wantedness, and just how you spend your time, your money, your energy, your resources. Remember, we only have one planet. Some people want to go to Mars. I don't want to go to Mars. Kudos to you if you want to go to Mars and try to repopulate and go there with you and Matt Damon or whoever. That's your business. We got one planet here. And I try to encourage people to be mindful that the polar ice caps are melting faster than ever. The world is constantly getting hotter and hotter. I try to tell people to pay attention to not just the economy and the politics, but pay attention to the ecology and the environment, because it is going to affect us now, in the here and now. But not only us, it will affect our children. For those people that have children, for those people that have grandchildren, it's going to affect the world that they live in. These are things that people may not care about, they may not want to get into, but what we do today, determines the type of future we have tomorrow. Hell, even China is starting to try to get into the mix. They're trying to look at the emissions that they put out into the world. It was nice to see you. Okay, yeah, you gotta go. Appreciate you, busy lady. No problem. Thank you for coming by. Like I said, I'm not gonna be on here too long, but I'm just speaking my piece on different things, just trying to figure it out and get it together. I do appreciate you and anybody else that comes through. But yeah, like I was saying about climate change, I encourage people to get involved and figure out what it is that they can do and look at the issues as far as what's happening with the environment, looking at the ways that you can actually help out. You stay safe as well, busy lady. Appreciate you for coming through. My thing is, I was somebody who really didn't even care about recycling at one point, but now you have to recycle. You have to look into that stuff. I need to learn more about it. Yeah, I do encourage you, Mighty R, to learn more about recycling, to learn more about using energy safe, emissions, like with electric cars and things that are safe to the environment, learning how not to pollute as much. I mean, these are things that's not sexy. These are not the most popular things to talk about. There's different things that you could do. There's plenty of information about the environment. There's plenty of things like with the wildfires. People don't realize climate change goes into what's going on with the wildfires on the West Coast, in California, in places like Portland, of all places. This is something that even Serbia is being affected by climate change, So people think that this is a issue that, isn't relevant now, or we don't have to deal with it as of yet, but the earth is heating up at a rapid rate. The environment is being depleted of its resources. We're running out of natural, clean drinking water. We're running out of natural resources on the planet. This is something that we have to address, and this is something that affects us all, be it you black, white, gay, straight, Republican, atheist, believer, non-believer. This is beyond the politics of it all. So in our environment, we only have one earth. We only have one planet. I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to know everything. What's going on? Appreciate you, Villa. Thanks for coming through. Good evening to you as well. And like I said, when it comes to the environment, I stress to people, you can't pay attention enough. You can't not, be engaged enough when it comes to understanding what we do to the earth now and how it will affect our future, how it will affect our kids. If you don't care anything about climate change and the environment and how things are going, just be mindful of your kids. Be mindful of the future. Be mindful of other generations. Be mindful of the pollution that's out there in the earth and the world, and how it may affect us adversely, or just affect the children adversely to the point where you have floods and wildfires and earthquakes and tsunamis and natural disasters of all types because of the things that we're doing to the environment, because of the pollution that we put into the air, to the gas emissions, the CO2 emissions and stuff like that. The different things that we have to look at too, how we use natural gas and oil, trying to find renewable resources, solar and wind, all these things that people may thought, were like far-fetched and not worth looking into. These are things that you can do. These are things that you can actually begin to look at and see, hey, how do I use things or get into materials or devices or ways of living that are sustainable, or renewable resources to the earth. And that's something that I encourage people to do on their spare time, look into renewable ways, resources, how to recycle, think about, climate change, think about what's going on with the earth, because we only have one planet. We only have one. And like I said, I don't want to get too deep into that right now, but it is important. Think about the earth, think about the planet. We only have one. Look into it. Don't ignore it, because the future depends on what we do now. But going to another thing. Since the wintertime is coming, it's flu season. We got a whole bunch of things going on. People want to, get out the house. They're worried about this whole COVID situation and whatnot, the economy and whatnot. But unfortunately, we got new COVID concerns because people are starting to get reinfected. I don't know if you heard about what happened in Hong Kong when they had the first reinfection case out there in Hong Kong. That was some months ago, not too long ago. But things started to spread in different countries, even especially here in America. In the neighborhood that I'm in, that's actually the reinfection rate is actually starting to go up a couple of neighborhoods over from me. People are actually starting to get more, infected, as far as what's going on in neighborhoods like Crown Heights and Sunset Park, that's here in Brooklyn, New York, for those that are familiar with that. For those that are not, basically it's a couple of neighborhoods over from me. And the infection rate is starting to go back up, and people are starting to get reinfected. And folks have to understand that I get people want to go out. I get people want to be free. I get people who don't want to be, stuck in these draconian measures, especially places like Australia, and other parts of the world that may seem, draconian and stuff like that. Different Asian countries where they, locking people in the doors. And I know the early side of it, they were saying in China they were shooting people, because they had COVID virus, So I listen, somebody gonna pull a gun on me because I got coronavirus. I say, look, I'll stay wherever you need me to stay. Don't shoot me. Hands up, don't shoot. But things are getting so crazy out there. But I think a lot of ways where people are missing the point is that you want to think about, hey, can we get through this? Can we avoid spreading it out there even more? The virus is mutating, and it's a situation where we don't have a vaccine. Even though a vaccine they said is coming at the end of this year, which I won't trust. I don't know how much you would trust a vaccine. And even if they have it at the beginning of the next year, how much do you trust a vaccine in a process that normally takes anywhere from 4 to 7 years or 5 to 7 years? Something that they're trying to do, and they're saying that the technology is making it move quicker. So my thing is, okay, I get it. People are worried. Folks want to go out there. Things are happening. Stuff is starting to spike. Christmas and Halloween, Thanksgiving, and all that stuff is can. Yes, I don't trust the vaccine either. But then on the other hand, you have people that want to go out there and they want to live their life. So I try to encourage people just to be smart, to be wise. If you really don't have to go to certain places, if you really don't have to be around certain people, if you really don't have to expose yourself to folks that you're not sure may have or may not have the virus, and then there's people with underlying medical conditions, don't, don't go out there, because a lot of infection rates are actually starting to climb back up because people are getting lazy. People are getting careless. People are saying, hey, you know what? I'm out there. I want to do it. I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to live my life. And what I would say to people is this: when it comes to the reinfection rate and the concerns with COVID virus and stuff like that, be mindful that even though you may survive, or even though you may say the COVID virus or the coronavirus is nothing to you, we're not surviving, and there's a 96.4% survival rate of coronavirus. Remember, for everybody that survived coronavirus, that was infected by it, there are a lot of people who didn't survive it. So try to be mindful of the fact of when you go out there and you're not getting tested and you're not being safe and you're not socially distanced, that there's somebody out there who was probably infected because of the fact that somebody else didn't care. Somebody else said, well, it didn't affect me, or I got good health care, or I'm young, or I'm virile and I'm ready to go. Yeah, you may be young. You may have good health care. You may be able to stay home. You may be able to work remotely. You may be able to do all these things. But there are a lot of people who are poor, low income. There are a lot of people that have to go out there and work. There are a lot of people that have to deal with situations. And that's kind of what happens. What's going on, Iron Fire Horse? Appreciate you for coming through. I see you, seen you at the other live stream too, but I appreciate you for coming here. So when it comes to, COVID-19, the reinfection rates and all the stuff that's going on, and I understand people, want to go out, they're tired of being in the house and they don't want to have to deal with the fact of maybe there's going to be another shutdown and stuff like that. It's leaving people with damage too. Yes, it is also leaving people with damage because we don't know how it's going to affect, different folks. So all of it is to say, to be mindful of how this affects people, to be mindful of how our behaviors. If anything, the theme through this whole live stream has been how our behaviors affect each other, be it in politics, be it with climate, be it with health, be it with money, whatever the case may be. It's all about how it affects, your actions affect other people. Sometimes people don't care about that, but then here's the thing: what happens if it's you that's affected by somebody else's actions? That's something that I encourage people to look into as it pertains to that. But that's just kind of what it is. And last but not least, I want to talk about the disinformation campaign. There's a bill that's out there that senators are actually putting out there to try to stop disinformation on social media. And I think I will get into that because I should have had this pull up. Disinformation. Basically, you look at what happened with the Russian, with the Russians trying to hack the last election in 2016. So Britain has to open many rehab centers specifically for people who have been left messed up by it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But like I said, I tell people, just be careful and be wary about your behavior and how it's affected people. It's something that people are not looking at, where to the point where you just say, okay, I'm good, but what about everybody else? Are you thinking about how your actions affect other people? And honestly, some people don't. But just to briefly get into the whole thing with the disinformation campaign, it's a problem. There's censorship out there going on with what's happening online. Be wary, be careful about fake news, verify the resources and the things that are going on, because it's a real problem. when people have, different news stories going around and people believe in stuff that they just see, verify your sources. If you see something that looks too good to be true when it comes to a social media story, look into it. Just really understand that, you could be saying something or doing something or commenting on something that affects somebody's life. It's a situation where you want to be informed. Like I was saying earlier, be informed, find out what's going on. Yeah, it does. It does look awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I see you changed your profile pic. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I changed my profile pic. That was what's up. I was doing something else. That was a whole side note. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But the point is, long story short, be wary, be mindful of what you're reading. Verify independent sources about a story. Just because you see something that identifies with the views and opinions that you have, be wary not to just pick that up and look at that and say, hey, I'm going to run with that. Because behind all these ideologies, these opinions, these talking points are real lives. People are really affected. And just because I believe something different than you doesn't mean I'm a villain, doesn't mean I'm less of a person, doesn't mean I'm not an American, doesn't mean I'm not a human being, doesn't mean I doesn't deserve a fair shake. Because I know a lot of people who are Republicans. I know a lot of people who believe something different. What's up, Yas Poet? Appreciate you for coming through. Yes, it's the first of the month. Wake up, get up, get up. It's the first of the month. But it's kind of like the end of the day. So do we say it's the end of the day or the first of the month? Anyway, but that's beside the point. Like I was saying, when it comes to that, be wary. News stories, information that's being put out there, verify the stories, look at trusted sources, NPR, Associated Press, PBS, BBC, anything that can be independently verified, when it comes to disinformation campaigns and things that's put out there on social media. You don't want to find yourself following after something that may not be true or maybe too good to be true or something that's divisive or going to tear you apart just because you believe something different. There's a lot of people out there I don't agree with about certain things. But the thing is, I don't vilify or demonize people because of what they believe, and that is a difference with what I do or where I come from. So there's that. And I won't keep you any longer. Hopefully, this was engaging. Hopefully, there's some things you could extrapolate from what it was that I was talking about or I was doing. What's going on, Tiana? I appreciate you for coming through. Yeah, you surprised me. But like I said, peace and love to you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, share, comment, rewind, do what you do. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Should I cut off the light? Nah, I can cut off the light. Hopefully my mother's watching too. If you're watching too, Mom, love you. Hi, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for the likes too. Yeah, if you got any questions, any things that you want me to talk about in the next live stream, feel free to leave it in the comment section of this video or other subsequent videos, or just hit me up. If anything you want me to talk about, you already know. Again, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Love you.